Hello, everyone. My name is Juleah Francis, and it's amazing to have been voluntold to present to you. Don't worry, I'm just kidding. I'm actually really happy to be here today. So, a while ago, I was having a conversation with one of my friends. I mentioned what I had planned to talk about today. We talked about the LGBT community and the different types of people within the community. During our conversation, they had said, "What about the normals?" This completely shocked me. My train of thought stopped, and I began to wonder, what on earth were they talking about? Then I realized what they had meant. Oh. Heterosexuals, in other words, straight people, were the normals they were talking about. At first, I was undecided on what topic I wanted to do, but after having that conversation and a few others, I was determined to address this idea of normality. Straight does not equal normal. Shocking, I know. It is used as a label it is used as a basis for labels we use to categorize people based on their sexuality, such as the members of the LGBT+ community. I'm pretty sure we've all seen these letters before, correct? Some of us may even know what they stand for. Well, as a reminder, in case you don't, LGBT stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, plus the other sexualities such as pansexual, asexual, and many others. Now, based on these labels of sexuality, I'd like to pose a question to you. If I'd asked each one of you to place yourselves on a spectrum, with the left being where you consider yourself 100% heterosexual, and the right being where you consider yourself 100% homosexual, well, someone actually did an experiment with the very same question as a foundation. Tillett Wright conducted this research and summarized his results in his TED Talk titled 50 Shades of Gay. His results showed that out of the 2,000 people, the majority had placed themselves on the center of the spectrum. Some identified as straight, but had an interest in the same gender. Some identified as curious, or had interest in both genders. Some liked the same gender, but still had an interest in the opposite. So I asked myself again, what is normal? Clearly, my friend felt that heterosexuals or straight people were the normals. So why did the results of Wright's TED Talk reveal differently? This section, known as the gray area, showed the challenges of trying to label anything as normal, because where do we start the line and where do we end it? Another such example would be race. If being black, white, yellow, ginger, I remember Mustafa mentioned purple the other day, but if being those were normal, then what about those who are a mix? The ones with parents from different religions, different backgrounds, who are different races. What are they? I myself exist in this gray area. My mom was born in Hong Kong, but she was raised in Australia. My dad, born in the Bahamas and also raised there. So what does that make me? My dad was like brown chocolate, whereas those around him were like dark chocolate. Section as a gray area. The gray area, this was the gray area, where the lines are vague and you simply just can't determine what is what. My favorite quote is from the movie Green Book, where Dr. Donald Shirley said, "If I'm not black enough, and if I'm not white enough, then tell me, Tony, what am I?" Is anyone truly 100% fully heterosexual or straight? Thank you. In the ancient Roman Empire, people were people. You were either born Roman or you're not. It didn't matter if you were into men, women, or both. There was no such thing as homosexuality. Colin Rickett's article on promiscuity and antiquity, sex in ancient Rome, stated this about the idea of homosexuality. It was considered unremarkable, certainly amongst men. In fact, there were no Latin words to differentiate between same-sex and different-sex desires. So, when did this topic become such a taboo? Due to the influence of opinion, things known as normal started to change. But how did these norms even become norms? Well, as societal values changes, the definition of normal changes along with it. It has always been a standard set by society and the community around you. What many people view as normal nowadays would probably consider ridiculous 100 or even 50 years ago. Just ask, Women. Around 70 years ago, a woman's job was to be in the house raising babies and taking care of their husbands. But look at us now. Certain interactions has lost their normalcy, such as segregation. In 1956, the landmark unanimous ruling by the United States of America Supreme Court made separate but equal illegal, paving the way for integration and a boom in diversity. Societal values of normal is just a simple system of labeling that we use now to categorize different people we've met and place them into boxes. Before we even get to know them, societal norms has already affected the way we think about them. Are they attractive? Will they be beneficial to be acquainted to? Oh, do they look rich? Then we automatically start filling out a survey in our heads while we're trying to get to know them. What is your name? Where are you from? What's your occupation? How old are you? Generate questions about family, some more about education. Since they are a complete stranger, it would make sense to get as much information as possible. But once you have that information, what are you going to do? Will it be enough for you to exchange contact info with them and befriend them? Let's say you befriended them. Later on, when the inevitable question about relationship comes up, you learn that he or she isn't straight. Would your attitude towards them change? Will you feel uncomfortable? Or will you feel indifferent? Would you use their sexuality to justify whatever experiences they've had in life? Now, some of you might be thinking, does their sexuality even matter? Well, yeah, it does. Why? Because society has made it matter. People have been taught to fear being different, so they aren't judged. People have taught to fear being different, so they aren't judged or viewed as not normal. People tend to find others who are similar to themselves, because anyone who is not normal or similar could be viewed as weird or simply be given the face of, what are you talking about? Are you serious? And dude, you're crazy. Because of this, many people close themselves off, afraid to show the world who they are, because they may not be accepted. As such, those ostracized by society, normal, often form their own community. As such, those ostracized by society often form their own communities to have the inclusion societal values deny them. Have any of you heard the term, just be normal or just act normal? The ones back there? Okay. Yes or no? I'm pretty sure some or most of you have, right? Yeah. Okay, now why? Why did you say it? Why did they say it to you? What is normal and what does it mean to be normal? But you being normally crazy, if then all of a sudden you were to sit down and be quiet, I think something was wrong. This made me realize that normal should not be a blanket standard for everyone, because everyone's normal is different. Here's what I want you to do. Imagine, but don't take too long. Imagine any friend of yours. It could be a childhood friend, someone from school, or a random person. Imagine knowing them for years. The person whom you knew so well, or so you thought. Suddenly, you find out new information about them. What do? Do you drop them like they're infectious or something? Some of you might be thinking, I would never do that. But in reality, things like this happen. Sometimes relationships end just because of a simple sentence that shows who they truly are. Years of feelings can be just thrown out the window as if it was nothing, just go. Psh. Because of this, many people don't want to show who they are because they're afraid and then they think they may not be accepted. People who do not fit in with the society, such as those of the LGBTQ+ community, have experienced many of the things some of you just thought you can never do as a person. Discrimination, bullying, violence, getting disowned by their family for coming out. Do you guys all know this phrase? Don't judge a book by its cover? Many of us have been hearing that since we were running around in diapers. By this time in life, I'm pretty sure we've had our fair share, we've sitted our fair shares of times too, right? But do you practice what you preach? Sometimes? Nah. Often, we find ourselves judging others based on their sexuality, gender identification, race, religion, gender. The list goes on. Ironic, is it not? Oh, no one knows what the future will hold, or where it will lead, what it has in store for us. What will normal be like, or 20, 50, 100 years from now? Originally, the LGBT community was simply just called LGBT. But as years moved on, more letters were added. It became LGBTQ, LGBTQ+, LGBTQIA+. Who knows what it will be like in the future? More letters added, but why? Is there a need to give everyone and everything a label? Who knows? Maybe in 20 years from now, people will start categorizing the normal. Ultra normal, semi-normal, not normal enough. And who knows, maybe by then, normal will be the thing that's out. I just find it funny how we think we know so much, but yet, what do we really know? But anyways, moral of the story, it doesn't matter if someone agrees or disagrees with another person's sexual orientation, gender identification, religion, or anything. No one has a right to use violence against them. Why? Simple, because love is love and people are people. My name is Juleah, and thank you for listening.